Hi, and welcome to this episode of The Entrepreneur's Journey. My name is Seth Fauchev, and I'm your podcast host here for Just Happy Marketing, your growth business partner. Today, we're joined by David Braine, founder of Quickspark, the app dedicated to helping people overcome insecurities in dating. We're joined by David today, who's going to talk to us about his journey.
Thank you very much, Seth. Thanks for having me.
So, what made you delve into the world of entrepreneurship?
I knew that I always wanted to do something different. That was the only thing I had in my mind. I wanted to do something different, but I didn't know because my idea was going to college as every regular person. I was doing had very clear that I wanted to go to college. And I started looking at some online courses, learning about entrepreneurship, seeing some people doing different stuff that was trendy at the moment, like e-commerce and stuff like that. And that was where I started having my own e-commerce. I did some old-fashioned stuff like dropshipping. I don't know if you remember dropshipping.
Yeah.
And business models. I don't recommend dropshipping, but yeah, I started with dropshipping and e-commerce. And I remember I used to sell glasses, frames, and also accessories like watches and stuff like that. And it helped me a lot. It was a failure in a part because wasn't a business as a whole, but I remember having to go outside and sell those glasses to my friends and school and giving offers and like going with my backpack with the books and like a couple of products to show to people if they like them, and I told them, hey, you can purchase that, I'll give you a discount. And I used to give them like a discount with their own name, so it was like a great thing. And then I moved, when I was 16, I moved out. I moved from my parents' house, was very young, and I decided to open then my marketing agency. It was very interesting because at that time, it was summertime, right? And in my head, I only had two things. First one was looking for something to get money to save and invest into whatever project I had at the time. I call it project because at that time, it wasn't that serious. And then I decided to close myself up for the whole summer just to learn. Seth, I grabbed like a pack of papers like this, and I said, I'm not going anywhere till I fulfill all these papers with knowledge. And I started learning. I started learning about e-commerce, I started learning about marketing as a concept, I started learning about online marketing, social media.
Where were you learning it from, actually? Was it online?
Yeah. So it's mainly from publicly accessible content, YouTube, Udemy, different platforms like Google. I think even Google and Oxford at the time used to have like free courses, but I was a newbie at the time, so it was like free.
What about those courses right now that are spurring up and they're talking about building six-figure agencies and that? What can you tell me about that?
We have a lot of people teaching people to become entrepreneurs. And that you just mentioned there is something I dislike a lot personally, because I think those kind of people are not entrepreneurs. And when you say entrepreneurs, you don't sell that message. So my opinion, straightforward, is very bad. That's disgusting. I'll give a tip to everyone who's watching this video right now, so they can, if they want to learn or they want to do something which is very great, learning is it's very necessary. Whenever you get into somewhere, and if it's a course, it's a landing page, it's a product page, whatever it is, if the benefits are clear, such as the modules you're learning, what are you going to learn, what techniques are you going to learn, what phases are you going to learn, like in the university, you're in the right spot. If you get into somewhere where it's 6 billion, six figures, 7 figures, gain 10,000 euros a month, forget about that. Simple as that. I dislike those. I don't know I'm sure you have a similar opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, like I have a simple clarification that maybe everyone who is thinking about doing something similar, just make yourself one simple question. If you're looking for fast money, you're not on the right spot.
Yeah.
So if you see yourself looking on trying to buy a course like that, think about yourself. Am I trying to really learn and do business, or am I trying to am I pursuing fast money?
Right.
Because that might be something that you've got sold into,
Yeah.
fast money, and you know it. I think we both know it because you own a very great agency. I used to own an agency at the time, and it's very difficult. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
And you have to learn a lot of things that on the surface are not visible at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Legal stuff, contracts, hiring, automation processes, that your agency is a star agency for that. Automations, deal with customers, projects, management, a lot of funnels, a lot of technical stuff. So that's my point.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you've had a marketing agency, you've sold it. We talked about that. So what made you, first of all, go into the space of marketing agencies? You said you were hustling essentially, and then you've done drop shipping, and now you did your marketing agency, and then you sold your portfolio of clients. So what made you now go down the route of Quickspark?
Reason why I got into a marketing agency at the time, it was because for me I had a very clear plan. My plan is I knew that I've never in that spot been in a marketing company, big marketing company. So I said, okay, if I am the marketing partner of big companies, then I will know how they operate. I know how they manage their products. I know how they manage their customers, how they manage everything inside their company. So for me, it was a way to get in to basically learn about internal stuff on companies, because you know that this is internal information a lot of times. You cannot Google it a lot of times. Yeah, I mean, you might do it, but it will take you a lot of times. So this is what we call insights. Basically, I got to learn a lot. I got to network a lot. That when networking started, because you get to know customers, you get to go to a coffee with them, or they invite you to test their product. For example, I worked with a Norwegian cruise line, which they had like huge, expensive lines of cruise ships. I couldn't afford that at the time, but they invite you, you learn, you see who's their customer, who's their profile of buyer persona, you see how they market themselves into that. So that's very interesting. I decided to move out because at the time I saw myself basically doing work for others, and I was making other companies grow, which is very good. It's an excellent labor, but it wasn't meant for me because I wanted to do something myself. I didn't want to make all these strategies and all these campaigns and all this stuff for other businesses. I wanted to do it for me and have the results for me. So I decided to jump off the cliff. I sold the portfolio of my customers to another great agency, and then I decided to move to tech.
So I see this divide between very small agencies and very big agencies. And there is this trend that's going on right now that they've got these, I say, middlemen who are going around and buying most of these agencies to private equity. They're bundling them together in a portfolio and they're selling them. How do you think this is impacting the industry? And if someone's watching this, would you recommend them that they go into SMMA right now?
I tried to think about why. For example, a lot of small marketing agencies do not take the step. It's because it's very difficult in order for you to grow that much. Because when you want to expand, you need a lot of human resource. And at the same time, what maintains a marketing agency is their customer portfolio and actually their customer acquisition. So you need to get more customers on board and have them for a long time in order for you to cover those expansion expenses. That's one of the main reasons that could be out there. And the second thing is because a lot of times, and I want to know your opinion on this as you're experienced as well. Even if you have like a team with 11 people, 10 people, 15 people, sometimes they're too abducted by the job that there's on their day-to-day, because they're working with multiple companies, they're doing multiple projects, so they don't have pretty much time in order for them to think in expansion or risk, That might be a second. What do you think about it?
I think it's a very complicated issue. I think there is certainly the buyout of the middle agencies that is creating a big gap that I think small agencies cannot fill. Bigger agencies can take some of that chunk. I think a lot of agencies are, a lot of smaller agencies are unprepared to enter that, like you said. It requires a lot of resources. And I think that it's creating a gap in the market, but it's also that much difficult for the players to be in. And I think it's something that's not talked about because a lot of these courses are promoting and creating your business, because an agency is a very easy entry to business yeah, but also to in the world of business. But then unless you really think outside the box and you're very creative and you create the right partnerships, I think you would reach a certain limit where bigger agencies would consume most of the big clients because of that stability. And what you're left with essentially are smaller agencies that are fighting for the clients in between each other, right? And that is, I think, a big issue. And unless you really think outside the box and you have the resources to then maybe you do an acquisition to smaller agencies, to other agencies, maybe you market yourself in a different way, maybe you take some of the bigger clients, I think it will be difficult to grow.
It is difficult, actually. I mean, the thing is that one day I was speaking to another entrepreneur. His company is doing 40 million plus a year, so he's doing pretty well. And he told me what's the difference between a lifestyle business and a business that you want to grow, scale up, So he told me a lifestyle business is basically when you want to operate a business and make it grow to a certain level that you can live off well, and maybe have some employees, but stability and a great income. And then there's people who think about growing, which is different. So for example, in the space of entrepreneurs who are dedicated to startups, in a difference, you always think in long term. So you have to get funding and you have to grow the team and you have to think long term. So it's a long run. And a lot of times I think that small agency owners do not have this kind of mindset. They don't know much about funding, for example, which I think, I don't know about you, but I think that having an investor inside a marketing agency is viable. You can actually do it. It's very viable. And a lot of people in the space do not know about that. It's like, well, I have to make this money and I have to make this money and I have. So it's about my private finances inside the company, which I think is just about a matter of mindset.
You sold your marketing clients to another agency, you got into tech, and now you're with Quickspark. So how did Quickspark come about? Why Quickspark exists? Tell me more about that.
Well, so Quickspark in the first glance came from a conversation I had with my co-founder. So we were sitting down after a long time of seeing each other, and we were talking about a topic that is very common between men, and it's about women. And we were laughing precisely about how dumb we were when approaching women in the past. Because at the time when we were younger, I mean, we're still young, but even younger, we used to have a lot of problems with women. Now and then that we grew out, we had to look back, and it was like, damn, man, like we were very insecure. So between that conversation, something just sparked inside my head, and it was like making an app that helps in this space.
So tell me about the process. How did you decide to do an app against the website? Do you have any partners? What was the process? Because right now this app is the huge business. You do a lot of recordings. You have psychologists on site. It's a big thing.
So at the beginning, I partnered with my co-founder. Like just right after having that idea, we got into the computer. We started like doing some research. We started taking a look at, for example, how much demand it could be, how many people were facing similar problems, how many people are getting unsatisfied of dating apps, for instance, how many people are looking for psychological help, and we saw that it was an emerging thing.
What tools were you using to look at this?
So you can use Statista, for example, for gathering data. You can use PsycInfo, you can use GS Store, you can use a lot of, there's data brokers and there's places when you can publicly see reports. Statista is a very good one. Then you can actually, there's some KPMG reports, you have some McKinsey reports that they're available. So these precise ones. Then you have the Pew Research Center, which is very good about psychological and sociological stuff. So after making a research and seeing that there's a demand about this, why we decided to make it an app, because it was like the most viable thing. Because we needed people to use it in a day-to-day basis, and it wanted to be something practical, quick for them to use, and something private, you know. So an app suited very much these prerequisites. So from there, what we did was looking for developers to partner with. At the time, it was me and my co-founder. And then we got into an old friend of ours and a businessman as well. He has, still to the date, his own developer agency. So they do software for big companies. They work for Movistar and stuff. That's why it's very important to get contacts. So we went to him, we pitched the project to him, we showed him everything. That's a trick I'll show to everyone. Whenever you have an idea and you're convinced that you want to start it, make a pitch. Before making everything else, make a pitch. That's something that works pretty fine for me. Why? Because if you go to someone, for example, I go to you, Seth, and I say, hey, Seth, I have an idea, and I just say it into words. I'm not going to know how to communicate it, and you're not going to give it much importance, you know? So they say one image is worth 1,000 words, for example. So when you make a pitch, you learn how to clarify your ideas. Then you're going to maybe validate or see that your idea maybe is not the best idea in the world. So if it has some kind of solution, if it's good, you can go and pitch it to someone else because they'll give you a very good response, you know, because they see that you already have something structured. So people tend to give you a better feedback. So I created a pitch and I went for him and I said, hey, this is it. I want you to partner with us. And he liked it. So that also gave me a sign that we were doing something that was really going to work, you know? So we partnered with him. We got a whole team of developers that we still work till today. And that's where the journey started. It was pretty fast. And then we started working like crazy, like doing content, researching about content, transforming huge papers and documents of social experiments into short format clips and videos for similar to YouTube, for example. That's what we did at first glance.
So what's next for Quickspark?
Well, as for right now, we're still doing some just testings and see how the app is going. For now, we're having some great recorded metrics about the app. We want to increase engagement. That's one of our main goals, and we want to have more feedback about the app, precisely. And then we're going to go for funding.
If someone needs to do a pitch, what's the correct way to do a pitch? Because you've done a pitch, you've secured funding. What's the correct way to do it?
What's interesting about the pitch is not the pitch itself, but how do you send or present the pitch? Okay. Because you cannot do it perfect. Actually, there's a saying that goes, if your pitch looks very good, I mean, if you see your first pitch and you don't feel ashamed, then you were too late, which is true. Because actually, we as entrepreneurs, what do we think? We think, okay, so if I create the most compelling pitch, I'll get the attraction of investors. But if I make it maybe not that fancy, I'm not going to attract them, which is not 100% true, because actually investors understand that you don't have all the resources or all the money or all the best team of the world to make an excellent pitch, you know? So it's more about, forget about the designs, forget about everything, just focus on what do you want to communicate in a very catchy way, in a very precise way.
So let's say that I've got this great idea and I've done my research, I've looked at statistics, it's backed up, there is a demand, I've got a solution to the market, and I need to build an app, for example. It's just myself, I don't know what to do. I know I need to get a developer, I know I need to get X, Y, and Z. So then I go and do a pitch. How do I go and find investors? Are there any websites? Are there any community groups I should join to go and find investors? And then how do you secure a meeting to do a pitch?
So before going into looking for developers, before going into looking for investors, what you should do is validate your idea. And most of people think that validating an idea is a very complex thing and you require money and you require to test with ads, which is not true. Validating your idea starts with friends, starts with going outside, you know? So that's a very simple thing. If you have an idea and you want to validate it, you don't need a website, you don't need an app, you don't need developers, you don't need a team, you don't need funding. What you need to do first is validate it. Go to the street. Maybe your app is, I don't know, about psychology and you have something inside it which is great. Just go outside, sit down in a bar with people and tell them, hey, can I ask you a question please? Can you tell me what this app is about? Would you use it? Would you make those kind of things? Make surveys, ask friends, ask people in your school, ask people in your environment, and that will give you feedback on the beginning. So let's now go and say, okay, I have my idea, I have it validated, I need capital to go for it. So the first step is going to family and friends, because investors they give a lot of value if you convince friends or you convince family members to put money into your idea. It's all about trust at the end of the day, Seth. So they're going to trust you if someone previously invested in, because it means that you convincing is very important. It means that you convince someone into buying into your idea. So that's the first thing. Talk with family, talk with friends, talk with people that you have some connection, close connection with, and see if that works. Let's say that this is not your case and you want to go for funding to investors directly. So there's different typologies of investors. You have VCs, you have business angels, you have accelerators, you have a whole different structures. So let's say, Seth, you want someone who you want to put money into your business, you want to still keep some sort of freedom, and you want him to help you. So in that case, maybe you're looking for a business angel. You know, where can I find a business angel? Well, you can search on LinkedIn. You can go to online websites. There's lots of listings. You can actually search on YouTube how you can get to them. So simple tricks that very good tricks I would share with people is, the first one is go to startups. Search for startups, small startups, early age startups that are just launched not too long ago, and see who are the investors, because they always post about it. There's always some sort of report. Follow them and go look for the co-founders. Follow them as well. Try to connect on LinkedIn. Hey, I saw that you're a mate entrepreneur. I really enjoy what you're doing. And then you start to talk. Hey, I'd like to know, how did you secure funding? I'd like to know, what can I do? They'll give you more insights. And if they like you, they're going to send you some contact. Don't be afraid of requesting for a connection between you and an investor. The second thing is going to the founders and seeing their contact list as well, because then you'll see from their followers or their connections what kind of people follow them. And a lot of them are investors. So that's a very good thing for you, because if an investor receives your request and sees that another guy who you already invested in is within your network, there's a lot of more higher chances that he will accept you. So that's one of the simple tricks I suggest to do.
What is the biggest piece of advice that you've received?
Victory loves preparation. That for me was an advice. Victory loves preparation. So a lot of times, for example, that's why when they say that a failed business is not really failed, because you've learned. And a lot of times you have to think about the collateral benefits of stuff, because maybe you have made a project and it's not going according to your statistics or your thoughts, but think about the collateral benefits. Maybe you're now more sociable. Maybe you're now more open to people. Maybe you're now more intelligent. Maybe you now have new capabilities. So victory loves preparation. That was my biggest tip that really got into me and motivates me whenever something is not working in my business or something is not working in my life. I don't blame it on the results. I blame it on the preparation, and I take it as a chance for me to learn something more, see something different, try something different. So yeah.
What is a great mindset for an entrepreneur to have?
Being humble, and at the same time talking with conviction about what you do. So for me, being humble and open to listen, and at the same time being ruthless in your work and being someone who's very dedicated, it's a very great formula if you want to succeed as an entrepreneur. I think people can learn a lot from you. So Seth, same question. What has been your biggest success so far?
So I would say the biggest success for me is myself. I have grown as an entrepreneur. I have grown as a person. I have become more resilient. I have become more humble. I have become more pragmatic, a realist. I have definitely changed my mindset. I have become more flexible when it comes to how I see things. Like you said, I've developed a learning mentality. No blame culture whatsoever. I take full responsibility for my actions. I've learned that the only thing I can control is really myself, my own thoughts. And with that, it dictates my own behavior. And with that, you build yourself up and you open yourself to a lot of doors. And I'm very, very proud of that. And I think for me, it is the biggest achievement so far.
Very great, man. Thanks for sharing. I feel pretty much the same, and yeah, congratulations for everything you have done so far. I really admire your job. I really like who you are. You are very humble, I have to say it. Now that I have the chance that I know you personally.
Likewise.
You're a very nice person. Yeah, I think we also can make an ending with one question to the viewers, which is you, the person who's been listening to us. Thank you very much. And I want to ask you, where do you want to go exactly? What's your idea? And what is the thing that is blocking you right now? Let's see if we can help you from here.